But what people consistently underestimate today is how the nature of mass media has transformed society. 10 people control 90% of everything you see, read, and hear in this country. 10 people. And they want to tell you that Cuba has state-run media. 10 people. Who are those 10 people? Well, you can look them up. They're not hard to find. That, in and of itself, is problematic. When you consider that these 10 people all need permission from the US government in order to have licenses, in order to buy other corporations, in order to do all the nefarious things they like to do, then you really understand what state-run media is. If Martin Luther King were alive today and he were in his 20s, nobody would know who he was because he would never get on TV. That's the difference between 2003 and 1953 or 1963. We live in a completely different era where information is more tightly controlled than it has ever been in the history of this country. What that really means is somebody can tell you black is white and night is day, and you will believe it. And not only that, the bigger the lie, the more likely you are to believe it. They told you for how many months that the attacks on New York and the Pentagon were the responsibility of Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda. They told you that over and over and over and over again. And you know what? You believed it. Until they wanted to invade Iraq. Then they told you it was Saddam who did it. They just told you a completely different thing. And you know what? Nobody said anything. Everyone, oh, okay, sure. Now, you guys are smart, so I know some of y'all had to be asking questions. Some of y'all had to go, oh, this ain't sitting right. But the vast majority of Americans believed it. How many of y'all are old enough to remember, well, I guess none of you are old enough to remember Iran-Contra. I'm barely old enough to remember Iran-Contra. But I won't get into that. There is such a limited amount of truth available for you to acquire, to digest, and to apply. This is not an accident, and it's not just a conspiracy against black people. This is the world in which you live today. As leaders, the most important thing that you have to remember is that the nature of power changes. These people who run the world, they may not be good people. In fact, they're really, really bad people. But they're not stupid people. Rarely do they make the same mistakes twice. Meaning, whatever worked before, whatever strategies, whatever tactics, whatever plans were really successful 30, 40 years ago, they're not going to work anymore. They've learned those lessons. We're coming up on the anniversary of the March on Washington. One of the most memorable moments in American history, something that has ingrained itself in all of American culture, because we can look, we can remember all of us seeing the footage of all those people, Martin Luther King, the speech, the singing, all that stuff. It was a big deal. Then we had the Million Man March, 1995. We've seen that. That was the response. It wasn't that big a deal. It was a big deal for like a week. Y'all are probably too young to remember that, but you know, we all went, we felt good. It was like a moment. But there was something that felt a little old. And then there was a Million Mom March and a Million Black Women. There's been like 500,000 people marches since then. To the point that when we're on the verge of the Iraq War, no, actually after the Iraq War started, some 400,000 people march in New York City. And they don't even get on the news. This is what I mean when I say that the nature of power has changed. The Civil Rights Movement, what was so amazing about it was that there was a brand new tactic. Mass media was new. Television was new. And they realized that they could use this new thing to their advantage. That they would be showing people the oppression that Black Americans face, and it would be beamed across the world. And it would be the first time these images were being seen in this nature. And they used it masterfully, and it worked wonderfully. But in 2003, nobody cares about your march and your picket sign. And even if they did, they'll never know what happened. Because you won't get on the news. This is what image is. This is what we're talking about. Wresting control of information from those that have it and those that don't want to be honest. Those that want to use that information to put a stranglehold on the entire planet. So those same people who are, flipping through and they're watching Fox News and they're watching CNN and they're watching MSNBC and they're being told how popular the president is and all of that stuff. Then they flip a few channels over to BET and they watch You Act Like Idiots. And that's all they see. They only see you acting like idiots. And you can get mad if you want. You can go, that's the media. Okay, yeah, it's the media, but they're still watching you act like idiots. And every week there's somebody new on television acting like an idiot. And they look like you, and they dress like you, and they talk like you. Are y'all mad at that? But are you really mad? And if you are mad, the question becomes, what do you do about it?